Door locks, requirements and best practices from Nonotuck Resource Associates. Today, we will be discussing privacy and personal space, DDS Indicators and Interpretations, questions and concerns, and implementation and application. Privacy and personal space. Privacy is a fundamental human right that underpins freedom of association as well as thought and expression. Privacy must be thought of broadly beyond the narrow confines of property rights as a right to be left alone. Generally speaking, privacy includes the right to be free from interference and intrusion, to associate freely with whom you want, and to be able to control who can see or use information about you. Privacy applies primarily to the person receiving services when in their room, as well as secondarily to the assurance that their possessions can be safeguarded when they are away from the home. This is important as it affects the decision as to what kind of lock is installed. There are locks that only work from the inside, such as the push-button locks present on most typical bedrooms and bathrooms. At a minimum, all individuals need to be provided with a means to lock their door from the inside. Indicator L90 requires that people receiving residential services are able to have privacy in their own personal space. CMS HCBS community role requires that each person served has privacy in their sleeping or living unit. Units have entrance doors lockable by the person served, with only designated household members having keys to the door. Door lock guidelines and interpretations outlined in the following slides are applicable to these service types: 24-hour residential, ABI MFP 24-hour residential, placement, ABI MFP placement, and respite. DDS Indicator L24 states that locks on doors not providing egress can be opened by the person served from the inside, and shared living providers carry a key to open in an emergency. In accordance with Regulations 7.07, locks on bedroom doors which do not provide access to an egress shall be permitted only in accordance with the following. 1. The team has documentation that the lock may be easily opened from the inside without a key, and that the person served is able to unlock the door from the inside. And at all times, the shared living provider carry a key or have immediate access to a key to open the door in the event of an emergency. In accordance with Regulation 7.077F, bedroom doors are lockable unless clinically contraindicated or unless a person or their guardian, if applicable, chooses a bedroom with access to egress and consents to the bedroom door not having any lock. The guidelines for this include: doors not providing access to an egress, bedrooms, bathrooms, closets, can only have a lock if they can be opened by the person served and the provider is able to open in an emergency. This slide is taken from the DDS Interpretations and provides information source on door locks, how they're measured, and the criteria for standards of met and not met during survey and certification. Questions and concerns. While affording a person's privacy in their living space is a principle that we all support, several questions have arisen with respect to implementation of this requirement, which are clarified in the following slides. Number 1. The requirement that people served have a lock on their bedroom door does not mean that it has to be used. It simply provides people with an additional measure of privacy should they choose to use it. Number 2. There cannot be a lock on a bedroom door that leads to an egress. For these doors, people served and their guardians need to understand and agree to accept a bedroom which cannot have a lock on a door, as it serves as an egress in the event of a fire emergency. Number 3. Locks that are on doors should be able to be easily opened by the person served. Many such types of locks are available, and teams should research the best type of lock that suits the person. Number 4. Relative to licensure and certification, the inclusion of the requirement for locks on bedroom doors is not intended to be the sole determinant of whether a person receiving services has privacy. It is in addition to all the other elements, such as asking for permission prior to entering a personal space, promoting use of personal space, and fostering privacy, that are also in the indicator individuals are able to have privacy in their own personal space. Implementation and application. In terms of implementation and application of these new CMS requirements, DDS suggests the following sequential process. Number 1. Providers should determine whether the person served would like to lock their door when they leave for work/day service, and based on discussion with each person, determine what type of lock needs to be installed. People who prefer to lock their possessions when outside their bedroom will need to have a key lock installed on their bedroom door and be provided with a key. Number 2. Providers that have not already done so should begin to install locks on all bedroom doors, unless there's an egress from the bedroom. A backup key should be readily available in the event of an emergency, so people served do not have to be the only people with keys to their doors. Number 3. Once the locks are in place, people's patterns of door use should then be reviewed. For example, does the person choose to lock or merely close the door when they are out of the bedroom? Number 4. It is important to note that the requirement is around having a door that is lockable, not necessarily that the door is locked at all times. There will be many people who will choose not to lock their doors. The person served may close their door but never lock it when they are in their room. Having a lock on their bedroom door and choosing not to use it satisfies their need for privacy and, as long as the door is lockable, whether or not the person locks it, satisfies CMS requirements. Number 5. There will be some people that choose to lock their doors when they are inside of the bedroom as an additional assurance of privacy. There will also be some people for whom choosing to use the door lock may be contraindicated. In these circumstances, the determination as to whether it is contraindicated needs to be discussed, agreed to, and documented in the ISP. For example, locking a bedroom door by any individual who needs increased supervision by staff due to risk of pica may be contraindicated. Number 7. For those that choose to lock their doors and for whom it's not contraindicated, the provider needs to plan and thoughtfully consider safety in general, balancing the need for privacy and safety, including fire safety. In relation to the need for privacy, if a person served who chooses to lock their door at night requires nighttime checks for incontinence, the provider should have a conversation with the person to discuss and agree on the least intrusive way to assure that the check occurs. For safety, if people served choose to lock their doors at night when in bed, fire drills would need to be practiced with the additional nighttime steps that would need to be taken to evacuate, such as unlocking doors.